Here are the biggest questions before the Book of Boba Fett finale. After 6 weeks of back-to-tank flashbacks, unexpected guest stars from the galaxy far, far away, and a surprising lack of crime for a show that's supposed to be about a crime lord, the Book of Boba Fett is coming to an end, for now. Wednesday's Chapter 7 is the season finale of the Mandalorian spin-off series, and it will bring Boba Fett's forces against the might of the Pike Syndicate in a showdown for control over Tatooine. And while the last 2 chapters felt more like episodes of The Mandalorian wedged into the Book of Boba Fett, the finale should finally give us more of the eponymous star of the show.
I should still show my face in town.
But before we find out exactly what the future of Star Wars holds for us, we have a number of questions going into the Book of Boba Fett finale that we hope are answered this Wednesday. Now, in order to discuss these in detail, we obviously need to spoil what's happened in the Book of Boba Fett thus far. So if you're not up to date on this show and you're force sensitive to spoilers, this is your last chance to leave before things get weird.
All right, let's go for a walk.
Alright, let's get into it, shall we? Let's start with the obvious question. Will we get more Boba Fett in the Book of Boba Fett finale? More than just standing in a room and giving a knowing nod while listening to Fennec give a speech, and then disappearing for the rest of the runtime? Well, the answer is yes. Yes, we will. Probably. I hope. I think? Maybe not. Question number 2, will Boba Fett ride the Rancor into battle? Now this is a tricky one, but I sure hope the answer is yes. Between his deep affection for his beloved Bantha and his instant infatuation with the Rancor, we know that Boba Fett is indeed an animal lover.
Is this the spot?
And while Robert Fettuccine invoked a deep-cut reference to the Star Wars Holiday Special when he mentioned previously that he's ridden bigger beasts than a Rancor in the past, I'm not sure if he'd want to put his good boy in harm's way against the Pike Syndicate. Then again, everyone's expecting Boba to attack from above in his recently recovered fire spray ship. No one expects him to ride into battle astride a Rancor. It's the Spanish Inquisition of mounted warfare.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
Moving on to question number 3, is Cobb Vanth dead?
I wouldn't be so sure.
After Din Djarin departed, the Marshal of Mos Pelgo found himself face to face with none other than Cad Bane. The Duros bounty hunter has a mean streak a mile wide and gunned down both of Freetown's finest to send a message.
Tatooine belongs to the Syndicate.
While that deputy is as dead can be after Cad Bane unloaded his blaster into the man's torso, Cobb Vanth just took one shot, then collapsed. So was he just really low on HP? Is Cobb Vanth stunned? Well, all signs point to Timothy Olyphant surviving to tell the tale, but maybe he'll be too weak to join the final battle. More importantly, this could be the inciting event the isolationist people of Freetown need to join Robert Fettuccine's Tatooine Syndicini in their battle against the Pike Syndicate. Now, speaking of Cad Bane, will everyone's favorite murderous misanthrope finally have the showdown with Boba Fett and Fennec Shand that we've been waiting for? Is he just in the market for some new headwear?
What are you looking at? It's a nice hat.
We know that Cad Bane and Boba Fett go way back, with the former training the latter in the ways of being a bounty hunter. And the two were actually supposed to have a showdown previously on the Clone Wars. Back at Star Wars Celebration 2017, an unaired sequence was shown depicting a duel between Cad and Boba, which left both bounty hunters laid out and worse for wear. It also led to the iconic blaster bolt dent on Boba's helmet. As for Fennec Shand, when she last crossed paths with Cad Bane in the Bad Batch, she put the kibosh on his plans to kidnap Omega, the only female clone made from Jango Fett's DNA template. And while Cad Bane is clearly a soldier of fortune in the pocket of the Pike Syndicate, something tells me their eventual reunion is going to get real ugly real quickly. And it could lead to one or more of our heroes being fatally wounded in the process. And that brings us to our next question. Who will die in the Book of Boba Fett finale? Because let's be honest, folks, it wouldn't be much of a showdown between crime syndicates if they don't rack up something of a body count in the final episode of the season. While Star Wars has killed off plenty of characters over the years, it's a safe bet that fan favorites like Din Djarin and Grogu are safe and sound for the time being. The bigger question is whether this is going to be Boba Fett's last hurrah.
Oh, this is the first I'm hearing of it.
I gotta be honest, this would feel like a huge letdown, creating yet another power vacuum on Tatooine, but I don't know, they could always just say it's like poetry, it rhymes, and just call it a day.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
If anyone does die in the finale, it's gonna be a metric ton of Pike Syndicate troops, maybe some of the mod bikers, and at least one of the Gamorrean guards. But if any major character dies, my money's actually on Fennec Shand. Maybe she would lay down her life to save Boba the same way he saved her from certain death so many moons ago. Now, I'm not saying I want this to happen because Fennec Shand rules, but it could happen.
You sure that's a good idea?
I will say this though, if anything happens to Black Chrysanthemum, we riot. And it's a double riot if I find out that Max Rebo died in that cantina bombing. Anyway, question number 6 involves someone who probably can't turn the tide of the battle just yet, and that's Grogu. The wee baby Grogu is currently off training in the ways of the Jedi with Luke Skywalker as the potential first student of Luke's doomed Jedi Academy. When we last saw Grogu, he was faced with a difficult choice to make. In an homage to Lone Wolf and Cub, Luke told Grogu he had to choose between the Beskar chainmail that Din Djarin had made for him, or Yoda's lightsaber. If Grogu chooses the armor, he'll be reunited with the Mando, but his Jedi training will come to an end. If Grogu chooses the lightsaber, he'll forsake his attachments to the Mandalorian and continue on the path of the Jedi. While much hay has been made about Luke turning Grogu into the next Anakin Skywalker with this binary choice involving deep-seated emotional attachments, I don't think it's going to be an either-or for young Grogu, because after all, if you remember, Luke himself took a break of his own from Jedi training to go off and give his friends a helping hand. And although that proved to be more literal than Luke would have liked, it doesn't mean that Grogu's attachments make him weaker. After all, only Sith deal in absolutes. Remember the Jedi Tar Vizsla who forged the Darksaber? Yeah, he was both a Mandalorian and a Jedi, so why not Grogu as well? If anything, it's showing that much like Din Djarin is questioning the way of the Mandalorians, Grogu might be questioning the orthodoxy of the Jedi that presents him with such a black and white choice. Anyway, if Grogu doesn't show up in the finale, could we expect other Star Wars cameos? Well, honestly, I hope not, because while it's been awesome to see everyone from Ahsoka Tano to Cobb Vanth to Cad Bane and beyond, it feels a little late in the game for even more familiar faces to come out of the woodwork. Earlier in the season, rumors were swirling about Harrison Ford shooting a cameo as Han Solo for the Book of Boba Fett. But considering how thrilled Ford was in The Force Awakens to finally get the death that he's wanted for Han Solo since Empire Strikes Back, I would be well and truly surprised if he came back. We also theorized that Boba Fett might have to strike up an alliance with Kira and the Crimson Dawn, but it feels like that wouldn't happen until Season 2, if at all, if there even is a Season 2. If we do see other characters from the galaxy far, far away, it's going to be in service of setting up another Star Wars story that will unfold in the future, rather than serving as a Deus Ex Machina or a random cameo in the season finale here. And that brings us to our next question. Will there be a second season of the Book of Boba Fett, or is this meant to serve as an interlude between seasons of The Mandalorian? Based on how little has actually happened with Boba Fett and how much has happened with Din Djarin and Grogu, I'm inclined to presume the latter. I think that the Book of Boba Fett's going to be a one-and-done miniseries, with characters from this show popping up elsewhere in future projects like The Mandalorian Season 3 and the eventual Rangers of the New Republic series. The next time we see Tamura Morrison after this, I don't think he's going to be Boba Fett. I'd expect to see him as Commander Rex or another surviving Jango Fett clone. But of course, I could be wrong, because not a lot happened to Boba Fett. There could be a lot more story to tell here. How does he rule with respect? We didn't really see that in action.
No one respects you.
Of course, as with anything, only time will tell, and we thankfully only have to wait a few more days to get all of the answers for ourselves in the Book of Boba Fett Season 1 finale. And you'd better believe we're going to be breaking that down in all of its glory later this week. For now though, tell us, what do you think is going to happen in the Book of Boba Fett finale? What are your biggest lingering questions?
Shall we visit the mayor?
Let us know in the comments below, and for the latest and greatest in the world of pop culture, stay tuned to Nerdist.com.